Well, today's little project, I'm trying to do a little tune-up on my tow bar. It's about 12 years old. It's made by Demco, called an Aluminator, because it's mostly made out of aluminum, which makes it lightweight. But I'm getting this slop, you can see. See here. See how much movement I'm getting on the end. A lot of it right there. But also I'm getting some on the front yoke. So that moves back and forth. So I'm going to take this all apart. I'm assuming that's got elongated slightly. A done called Demco. They no longer manufacture this piece. This one's so old. And then I'm assuming I can take these jam nuts loose and maybe tighten it up slightly to get rid of some of this side motion play. And maybe clean up the crud it's in between there. So let me get me some big sockets and get at it. So I told you I had some wear. See that bolt? So it is sloppy, it's elongated. And this bolt is so tight. I imagine what's happening, it's had this empty cavity all these years and it's sweat and it's got rusted. So the bolt just won't come out. I beat on it, about to beat the nut to death, wherever the nut is. Of course, I'll get new nuts here, but look at that thing. And so I'm gonna take it up to my shop, put it in a hydraulic press, and press it out. Inspect these bushings. I'm gonna try to find me a bolt that'll be just the next size up, hopefully, and then I can remount this hole to get everything back tight again, like it should be. That's the plan. We'll see how it turns out. Well, it's time for an update on this. It's been a few weeks, kind of got started on it, off and on. Finally going to put it all back together. But before, I think I showed you how much wear and slop it had. And this area here was elongated. Of course, this part here bolts into the back of the RV, and then this goes right in there like that. Of course, your tow bar mounts all to it. So the weight of the car, it was constantly pulling and tugging and twisting. Does that constantly as you're going down the road. Of course, that makes sense. It would elongate that aluminum. Of course, you can't buy this part no more, so that's why I had to try to come up with a solution. Tow bars aren't cheap. Well, they would start about $500 or $600-800. So I got to think about a way I could refurbish this and get more life out of it. So what I did here, I took it. A friend of mine's got a machine shop, so we put this in a end mill. That's what it's called. And we bored us a new hole and then put in these bronze bushings. Of course, when we bored it, we came back a little bit because we didn't want to make this area any thinner. We had plenty of meat going this way, so we set the end mill back and bored a new perfect circle to press these bronze bushings into. So now I've got a nice round hole once again. And another problem, when getting this thing apart was a booger, because this bolt was in here. And of course, over the years, I guess moisture somehow gets inside this tube and rusted that up so bad, I never got it out. So I thought, well, to solve that problem, because I got new bolts and grade 5, just like what come out of it, and I thought, well, that's going to happen again. It's going to rust all up on me if I ever need to take it apart. It's going to be a burger. So I just tapped it, and I got me a little grease fitting here. I'll put me a grease fitting in that, so that way I can grease it from now on and keep that in good shape, so it won't rust up no more, and should get much longer life out of the bronze bushings. And of course, you got these big nylon sleeve bushings in there. And what else did I do? I cleaned this aluminum up a little bit. I just laid it, put a belt sander in a vise, and laid that on there to try to get a nice flat surface on that. Did the same with that. So when those go back together, they'll rotate nice and smooth. And I had this bolt. This goes inside of, this part sits in here. And kind of creates that clamping force. Well, it was kind of worn, so I put it in he had a surfacing machine that you just lay it down in there and a grinding wheel goes across it to make a nice, smooth, perfect flat surface once again. So I got that done. So I'm going to slowly put this back together and get my grease fitting set in there, and I'll put a few drops of Loctite so I know what makes a tight seal, doesn't come out. And we'll put things together and we'll see how this little project turns out. Alright, now look here, that feels much better. Nice and snug, no sloppy play. Now all I gotta do is put this piece on. Like that. Because that's how it does its twisting as you get on uneven roads. And then I'll put this piece on there and be able to boat this up to the RV, and we'll be ready to take a trip, test it out, getting closer. Well, there she is, almost ready to put back on the RV. And I think I talked about this before. It's been a few days since I was on this project, but you got little pieces in here, little springs and ratchet mechanism that holds it, and you want to keep those clean. Because I got me some dry lube sprayed on here, and you can see how the mechanism works. You know, it's really, everything's nice and loose. Slides real well. But as you see those come in and out, air has to push in and out of this tube. And let me show you a little something else down here. And I think from the factory, it seemed like they had this plugged off. They had like a plastic plug in here. But it made it hard because you was fighting that air, because that's like that large piston that goes in and out, and it would be hard to push. So I thought, well, I want to make it move in and out easier, so I got this foam. So that way it will allow air to pass, but keep the dirt out. Because as you're going down the road, all the dirt and grit just flies right in this pipe, and you know, you get a little rain and moisture, it'll gum up the works in here, and then this mechanism won't work well. But the trick to using any kind of foam, just like an old lawnmowers, the old like the Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engines had a foam filter. A lot of people would make the mistake, take that foam filter out, wash it out really good, dry it, and stick it back in. The problem with that, if you do that, you no longer have an air filter. The only way an air filter, a sponge or a foam type air filter works is unless you have 30 weight oil on it. Because you imagine, because you know, you hold this up to the light, you can usually see through it, you can blow through it real easy, and the dust particles do the same thing, flows right through a dry foam filter. But if you put your 30 weight motor oil on there, that creates the stickiness, so the dirt particles stick to it. So always keep that in mind if you're dealing with old lawnmowers. Most all newer stuff has paper elements now. They got away from the foam because people didn't understand that they wouldn't oil the foam filters. Thought that they was doing a good thing, clean the foam, stick it back in there, and then, you know, the next year the engines wore out and smoking because it was sucking in all that dirt and debris. So I'm going to pour me some 30 weight oil on here, and I'll squish it around real good and shove it in this hole, so that way the air can still move in and out when I move the cylinders, those little pistons. But it will keep out the dust and keep my mechanism all clean down there. So, and I'm going to fix and put it on the RV. I'm going to shoot this full of grease, and we'll see if we got eliminated all that sloppy play that we used to have. Alright, well, this is the tip. I can't remember if I mentioned this. I don't think I did before. But, you know, keeping your manuals to everything you own. You get something, find you a folder, put your manual in. This, I had a PDF file of it, so I was able to locate it in my computer, print this out. But because I kept this thing, even though this thing's 5 or 6 years old, or 10, I don't know how old it is, because I bought it used. But because I had this manual, I was able to pull it up, and it gives me the torque specs of the bolts, and putting this back together, so I know what to torque everything back to. So we get 60 foot-pounds, 40, and it gives the layout of how it's installed, you know, with all the bushings and sleeves, how it goes. So anyway, keep that in mind when you get something. Hang on to those books. Someday you may need a part or a part number, and it may be only located in that manual you have. Sometimes you can't always find everything online. Sometimes it's stuff that is there, but sometimes it's not. There you go. Okay, well, here's the final product. The sun's about to go down, so I'm trying to hurry this up. But anyway, put this on here like that. It's nice and straight, and it's really eliminated all that slop that I had before, all that play. Remember before? See, everything's nice and tight before it all kinds of flop in there. I mean, now there's no play whatsoever. None. It was just wiggling something, just a mess before. So that should work much better and last me another 5 or 6 years hopefully. And I'm gonna get my grease gun out and shoot it with some grease here. Remember I added that grease fitting. And you can see I got that wheelie bar because we got that car that's really low to the ground, a little Honda Fit. So that's why I had to get this huge drop down in order to get it to line up with the car really well. But all in all, that little project has turned out really well. I think this one's finished. I'll go start something else. Thanks for watching. Bye.